Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Jamie. This is going to be a reading for the water signs, and this week everybody voted love, so that's what we're doing. So I'm going to do 3 individual spreads here. It'll be time-stamped in the pin section of the comments. You can just jump right to that if you already know all the rules and how it all works. Of course, if you're watching this during the premiere, you won't be able to skip to your timestamp. So I'm going to read the rules up front for everybody, and then we'll jump into these individually. So if you are new to tarot, just know that not every reading is going to resonate for you. It's just not how it works. So if you feel like I'm wrong, or maybe it just isn't your reading, please just disregard it. Never try to make it fit. I'm going to pull cards like King, Queen, Emperor, and Empress, and those cards describe a really specific personality style, but they don't have anything to do with the sex or gender of the people being described. Some folks feel like the energy is reversed, and if you feel like that, you can always take it that way. I do long form videos. If I find that a specific sign went to their timestamp the most, then I do a bonus reading for them, and it's long form. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you do want to catch some more readings. If you click the bell, it'll notify you when I post. I do offer a membership, so if you're interested in some additional content, you can check that out by clicking join. And if you need to book a private personal, that information, why am I doing this? That information is in the description of the video and again in the pin section of the comments. Okay, so now that everything's done there, let's start off with Pisces. So we have Queen rising, stepping into power, praised, coming up, or in the spotlight. Romantic feelings, your feelings are real and worth exploring. And patience, everything can be accomplished at nature's pace. I feel like there's something really deep going on with somebody where they're not truly understanding their own feelings here. Now, there is a separation. Obviously, we have the 3 of Swords as the overall energy. But this is not just a just separation. You know, this is heartbreak. This is betrayal. You know, it doesn't feel good. So I think things have ended quite badly. It looks like there's a lot of drama in the situation. There could have been a lot of arguing and fighting. And so I feel like the aftermath here is someone who's finding it hard, or they're truly struggling. I think with just keeping moving in life, they're feeling, you know, like someone, you know, it's like they struggle with the fact that they feel like they should be broken up with this person because it was so dramatic, and they feel like they were competing for their time and attention. And perhaps even being juggled, like they feel like perhaps someone else was even involved. That's only for certain people, and only if you know, okay? But someone else is also quite impulsive, meaning that they are argumentative, they are quick to just jump off the handle, and it required ultimate patience for you to deal with this person anyway. So I think where someone is confused is they're not so sure why they're so deeply hurt by this separation. even if they feel like it's healthy. And I think that underlying everything here, there is actually, you know, these feelings of abandonment going on. And maybe those feelings need to be looked into here, because it says your feelings are real and worth exploring. It's like somebody's really trying to get into this. They're trying to get back into their power. They're trying to, you know, get back to their normal self, but there really is a struggle here, you know, feeling victimized, feeling almost like someone hurt them on purpose, or someone just, I feel like, just didn't care about their feelings. And, you know, it's like, maybe there's even this need to pay attention to, maybe that's why we stayed in it for so long. Because again, these are 3 swords. It's not like a single sword, right? So I feel like there have been some issues in this relationship that made you feel uncomfortable, or like you weren't being treated like you should be, but also almost this codependent tendency to still stay in something that feels toxic and like it isn't for you, feeling like maybe you love the person, or, you know, anybody who's at tarot understands most of these feelings. This is how most of us found tarot, right? The confusion, I know this person's bad for me, they just cheated on me, lied straight to my face, and I don't know why I can't get the hell over them. You know, and that's, I feel like, where somebody's sitting with this. And it's a very uncomfortable feeling, because it truly is an addiction. You feel like you're spiraling out of control. You don't understand your own emotions. You can't get past things. You don't feel like other people do. They're motivated, they're running around, they're living their best life, and you're just miserable, you know? And it feels isolating, it feels alone. And I think that's the major issue here, is that someone doesn't like to be alone. They don't do well with feelings of being alone. And while they're trying to be, like, I don't see someone doing something, you know, ill-willed, where they're trying to just jump into the next thing to pacify themselves in the moment or something, you know. It is truly painful. It's confusing to a person. It doesn't make any sense. And I think there's a lot of, like, deep insecurities that are coming up here with this. But, you know, I would also kind of question with the patience and, you know, your feelings are real and worth exploring, if I'm talking to somebody who generally doesn't try to deal with their feelings. You know, they could have some really kind of messy coping skills. Things that they feel like would help in the moment, but maybe later on would really hurt them. You know, this would be like trying to deal with this person again, because in the moment it'll take away the pain of them doing, you know, leaving, but at the same time, you're just getting right back into the same cycle, right? Sometimes people will try to leave someone, and then it's deeply painful. They'll try to involve someone else, and then that turns into a hot fucking mess too. Just bad coping skills. So even just this idea that you should feel hit, or maybe not that you feel like you should, but someone feeling hit and like they can't get up, this is not actually kind of like a normal response to a breakup, right? And someone's aware of that they have some things going on underneath it all, that it's not just this breakup, it's not just what happened before the separation, it's a triggered energy from something that, you know, they've been through before. So again, with this, it's really looking like abandonment, not really liking the feeling of loneliness, or like someone could just leave and leave you here like this. Okay, so I'm gonna go with this other person. The 10 of Cups, the Star, the 3 of Cups, the 7 of Pentacles, the Magician, Virgo, Gemini, Virgo, Gemini energy, and the Moon, Pisces energy. Bottom of the deck, the Ace of Pentacles. We have Aquarius on the star, if I didn't call it. Not the same wave, right? Because for a lot of you, this person reconciled with somebody they already had a thing with. Went back to an ex, went back to, or started dealing with somebody that was just a friend, you know, their long-term friend. But it's looking more like a reconciliation, like someone went back somewhere else to correct something, and they did this in a very manipulative way. So you could have felt like you did something wrong. You know, like maybe you were the reason for this breakup. They could have even made you feel like you were the problem. Maybe you're not understanding that the whole fight that happened, I want to say, was premeditated. So there's no wonder that you're confused, because I think that someone hasn't been completely honest with you about what was going on or their intentions here. You know, I think they've been very sneaky, because when you see the moon, you know, this is a very hidden energy, but when you see the magician in front of it, then we're talking about sort of, you know, someone who's doing everything in their power to basically keep something a secret until they know they have it. So somebody started something new somewhere else, but it's not completely new. And I think that this could have been part of the fight and the energy in the past. You know, like this could have been a person that you guys already were bickering over, something you already didn't trust. And again, there was no honesty with it, but that's the situation that's happening. So I don't know if I'm clarifying that to somebody, and this is somebody who you know, obviously that's been your situation. You kept fighting with somebody over somebody because you weren't trusting that situation, and you weren't wrong. Your intuition was absolutely on point. And I think, you know, for some of you, you know this too. Some of you, it's not a secret. You know that they tried to keep it a secret, that they thought they were slick, but you know what the fuck they're doing, you know? So like, at the end of the day, it is true. It's sort of like somebody left you alone and in your misery so that they could go do whatever was going to best serve them in the moment. Things were hard with you, so it's time to go work something out with someone else. And why would we sit around upset over this? I think that's what's pissing you off the most, is that, you know, it's almost like this person is clearly happy. You know, they're doing their own thing, and you're just left in this position of miserability, you know? Maybe you have a conscience. You know, maybe you're capable of feelings that other people aren't, or maybe you're not dodging things like they are. This looks like the type of person who would, you know, if there was conflict in the relationship, they would avoid it and try to go deal somewhere where it might be a little calmer in the moment until there's conflict again, you know. And I don't see where you actually did go wrong. You might feel like the things that you said when the two of you were fighting is the reason that this person left. It's not. This person left because they're selfish, and they definitely had something else going on. Period. Okay? So I don't feel like I need to give any advice or anything. I don't even think advice would do anything for anybody here. The truth is, in order to get through these kinds of things and to get back to the old you have to go through it. You just got to feel the feelings of loneliness, of sadness, the deep insecurities, the fears. You got to work through them, and that's it. Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not crazy. You will get there. You know, it's just accepting the truth for what it is and then moving on from there. It's not a simple process. It hurts and it takes some time. So you take as long as you need, okay? But the truth itself should get you into a better position of power. Because while it may hurt to say, yeah, well, they're over there happy, it also says, I don't owe this person anything, and that includes my miserability or sadness. This actually had nothing to do with me. That person has issues, and I can just move on from this. All right, let's move into Cancer. Okay. Doubles for everything here. What is going on? have deception. Someone is wearing a false self mask in this relationship with heart-to-heart conversations. Honestly discuss your feelings with each other. We have creeping and played out. Humility. Flowers are aware of each other's beauty. They bloom regardless. And strength. When your roots are deep, you need not fear the storm. We have the Hanged Man as the overall energy. This is Pisces energy. We have strength, Leo energy. The Nine of Wands, Three of Pentacles. The Seven of Wands, the Five of Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles. And at the bottom of the deck, the Six of Wands. I feel like you're starting to see things differently now because you're overcoming some type of pain. There's like something about no longer fearing commitment. Okay, so this is what I'm getting here with this deception card is like maybe you feel like, you know, like have felt like, let's say that because it's not the current energy, like someone was deceptive, like there was something that they weren't telling you, there was something that you were being left out of. And I think this made you really defensive. I mean, we're looking at you trying to find things out. That's what I'm getting here. It's like for a period of time, you could have been trying to really figure another person out. There was no conversation with this. There was no talking about it. It's more like feelings of deep insecurity and trying to just figure out what's going on. And then at some point in time, I think you could have decided that this really was played out, that it wasn't going to go anywhere, that you were never going to get the answers you were looking for, that you don't know what's going on here, that it's never going to be cleared up. And then out of nowhere, I think it is. I mean, we have the Hanged Man here with the Ace of Pentacles, the Six of Wands. Some of you have realized that in order to clear things up, you have to be able to communicate with a person. So like, I think, you know, it's like this. So sometimes we get angry with a person. We think something is going on. We get paranoid about it, especially if we've been in something else, right? Like where someone has done something foul. And someone's not really like clarifying the situation. You don't have a relationship then, right? But if you're not really ever willing to have the conversation, if there's a lot of more like accusatory things going on than like a true like sit down, tell me what's really going on, communicate with me conversation. I'm not talking about the type of situation where you try to communicate with somebody and they just leave you unclear. I'm talking about someone trying to defend themselves and the other person basically not wanting to listen because they're hurt in the moment and don't believe anything the other person is saying. There's something happening here where you're going to change your mind. Things are, or you already have. I think that's what it is. Like something happened where you sat down for a minute and really started thinking about like, am I truly even communicating with this person? Or, you know, because you're not actively listening if you're dismissing what they're saying. And I think somebody is keeping it real with themselves here. Like, in order for me to get the clarity that I want on whether to stay or go, I'm going to actually have to have this conversation with this person and see if they're grown enough to have it with me too. Because if we don't have this conversation, then I got to just go. I can't just sit around and question and wonder. So I feel like there is this opportunity here to successfully have this conversation. But first, it really took somebody deciding for themselves that they also weren't doing their best at communicating, that maybe their skills are also not on point. So I like the change up of perspective here. Let's kind of see. I think someone else with this humility card, they kept paying attention to where the other person wasn't growing or where they're not talking about it or where they're not, you know, like they're avoiding it or something. But they're not seeing, maybe they weren't seeing where they were also going wrong with it. Here we have Judgment starting off. So definitely someone the Five of Swords and the Empress. Yeah, so some Scorpio, some Libra, Taurus here. Definitely somebody deciding for themselves that they're part of the problem here. That they also, you know, when they're arguing, want to win at all costs. They're not really actively listening, and they're not, you know, someone feels like they need to show up softer and nurture the situation more and see if they can just have like a conversation that doesn't have conflict involved. How will this play out? The High Priestess, Cancer, Pisces energy, the Two of Pentacles, and the Two of Wands. Again, with the High Priestess, I feel like this is more, you know, she doesn't talk a lot. She is more apt to listen. And I think that's kind of the thing here. Some of you feel like you need to shut up and listen so that you can really make a solid decision here. There is a decision that needs to be made, though. I mean, Judgment is here, and we have these twos. And nobody's trying to sit on the fence anymore. They're about to try to have this conversation. If the person can't be mature enough to have it, then they have the answer that they need. But they're no longer trying to just blame the other person or just look at them as the problem. I think this is like real accountability. Like, hey, I have to actually listen to what they're saying to get the clarification here. I think this will work out well for you, though. I think that you'll be able to make a much better decision and come out of this struggle period. Like, I think there's a lot of emotional intelligence to this right now that perhaps you don't feel like you had before. You know, like when you're in the moment, it's hard to have it. When you have a couple of minutes after to really think about it. But a lot of you are really ready to just work it out. Like, you're hoping you can work it out, but you know, obviously, it's like somebody's going to try. And if they can't have that conversation, or that's the advice, is to try. And if you can't have the conversation with the person, then there's your answer, you know. But a lot of people will be able to clear up a whole thing here by just hearing the other person out. What do they have to say? Sometimes clearing it up doesn't always mean a good thing. It doesn't mean that by the time that you clear this up, that won't mean that you caught the person not able to tell the same story twice or tripping over their story or something like that. It just means you'll have an answer on whether to stay or go, period. Because for everybody, that's going to be very different. Okay. Let's go Scorpio. Yes, that's the ice cream truck. Okay, Scorpio. Okay, so we have wasting time, stuck, no changes, or limited. Passion, allow your heart and soul to sing with joy. And music, there's a melody to be heard in the deepest parts of the woods if only we listen. Of course, it's the ice cream music. The overall energy is the Page of Wands here. We have the Hanged Man, Pisces energy, the Four of Cups, the Ten of Pentacles. Justice, Libra energy, the Ten of Wands and the Four of Pentacles. Bottom of the deck, the Eight of Pentacles. Somebody can't take it anymore. I'm getting the passion is missing in a current relationship. So somebody could be in something that's pretty long term, but they get rejected a lot by this person, especially in the SEX department. It's really given that, with the passion card, the Page of Wands, and this issue. Somebody's thinking about truly like getting a divorce and letting this go because they're just so tight. Like they feel like there's nothing going on here. The relationship's not going anywhere. It's long term. Some of you are legally married, so that could be difficult, but like you feel held back, like you can't work anything out with this person, and like there's no passion there anymore. So it could feel like the relationship is just wildly boring, minus the stress. It'd be like when you go home to your, let's say, wife every night, just take it however it resonates, and basically she hates your fucking guts. She doesn't want you to touch her. She doesn't want you to have anything to do with her. She's not going to cuddle with you. She's not cute. And like your current position in her life is to pay half or all of the bills, but like there's nothing between the two of you. There's just disgust or like utter disappointment, And it's given that you're tired of trying to work it out too. I feel like, it's like this other person. It's interesting because I think the other person doesn't want you to leave. It's like they know that you're stable, that they can depend on you. But at the same time, they could have gotten too comfortable, with just the stability and not understanding that someone else may have needs. Now, I'm not saying that someone should just be giving it up when they don't want it, but if you're no longer like interested in a person, it's kind of weird to just stay. I get for some of you, like it's about kids, like this, the whole idea is like it's easier to just stay with the person because, you got two people to do it or something, but it's like, somebody's so tired of working on things or even attempting to make it work. And honestly, at this point, it's given they need some. So I'm sorry if you're cross-watching, maybe it's in the reverse, but sex is really a human need. But I don't think this is just about sex. I think this is also about a person, the passion in the relationship made whoever the Scorpio person is that I'm reading on feel validated in the relationship. They're deeply insecure without it. They feel, and you have to think about what is the benefit in this relationship from this person's point of view. If you're are you even thinking about the other person? Because it seems like whoever I'm reading on in the reverse doesn't. They don't. It would be wrong for this person to cheat, and it would be wrong for this person to leave, but it's also kind of wrong to not care how the other person feels and to consistently allow them to feel rejected. I don't see a relationship here. I see a roommate, and a not so nice one. Well, let's see what's going on in the mind of the other person, because maybe things aren't perfect from their end either. I'm getting somebody's they're not getting respected, they're not getting love, they're not getting appreciated, they're not getting the S word, but they're also not getting any type of affection. It's like they are going home to the enemy or something. The Seven of Wands, the World, Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, Leo energy, the Ace of Swords. Five of Wands, the Four of Swords, the King of Pentacles, and at the bottom of the deck, the Ten of Cups. Why am I getting there's threats from this person's end? But it's because they feel threatened. is this person? It's interesting because it's almost like, I think in their mind they know it's over. There are not good feelings here. They also think about leaving, but they're actually defensive to letting you go. It's really weird. It's almost like, if they're not happy either. This is not somebody who's like overly joyous in the relationship. To them, again, I think this is about what it looks like or what it's like for the kids. Because I'm not getting two people that go home and argue and fight with each other. It's more of a cold war. It's very rejecting. Someone could have been raised like this, though, and without you understanding it, where like their parents were together to pay the bills. Their parents were together for the kids so that nobody starved to death or died. There was no love there, though. There may not have been fighting or arguing, but there wasn't like love. A relationship, a marriage was business. And that's could be how this person really sees things. They also, I think they come from the right place when they're thinking about the kids, but they come from the wrong place where they don't consider you or even really themselves here. Like, I feel like there's some digs on this person's end. There's some things that they're bitter about, but they also don't feel comfortable speaking on it. Again, it's really bringing up just somebody who was raised different. Like, whoever I'm reading on in the top here could be the type of person that was, raised in a home where they were taught that, like, love is, physical and affectionate and, respecting another person's feelings and communicating, where another person could have grown up in a house where people avoided conflict. Everything kind of looked okay, as long as it was okay to the children and the outside world, it was okay, but it's just two different people with two different ideas about what a relationship should be. Or what a marriage should be. I don't think anybody's right or wrong here. I think that if we're not ever practical in a relationship and we're always super emotional, like, that's going to damage the relationship too. But if we're just overly practical and we just stay with someone because it's beneficial to everybody else involved, even though we hate each other, that's not really very practical either. So I don't think that anybody's right or wrong here. I think they just have confused ideas about the other person and like what relationships should look like. Because I think this person is very satisfied without, all of the kind of touchy-feely stuff. They're fine without it. It's true. What they're defensive to is things ending and having to tell people about it, or the fight that would ensue, you know what I mean? Like, they're afraid to like lose their things or, have to give up certain things because it's over. It's like I said, somebody's coming from an emotional place. They want someone to love them and to like, be affectionate. The other person's coming from a practical place. Like, I would leave you tomorrow, but I'm afraid you would take half the stuff and I'd have to share the kids with you. And those are two very different energies. So you go ahead and take from this reading what you will. I have no advice. Personally, I need a partner who's in love with me, and I get that sometimes things will get stale and we can work it out, but if I'm dealing with somebody who literally looks at me like, no, I'm only married with you so you can't take half my shit, like, that would be such a weird vibe, when I'm looking for love. So I'm validating somebody here that they're not wrong. Somebody else is cold. You do with that what you will. Because personally, I don't think that their public image matters that much to you, or that, kids can have separated parents and be happy. I assure you, I grew up in that household. We were fine. Okay? All right. I love everybody. I will see you guys next week.